Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Health experts shocked that removal of mask mandate and COVID-19 testing requirements for visitors to the island. Intense debate over Jamaica Teaching Council bill. Later in sports, track and field legend set to retire later this year. I'm Anthony Lugg. Here are the details. Up first this afternoon, at least one public health expert has expressed shock at the government's decision to remove the mask mandate and COVID-19 testing requirements for visitors coming to Jamaica. Speaking on Power 106's morning agenda, Dr. Winston Davidson said the lifting of the measures will leave the population exposed to the various strains of COVID-19. Sandy Williams reports.
The public mask mandate and the requirement for people traveling to Jamaica to get tested for COVID-19 will be lifted on Friday, April 15th. The relaxation of the measures mean people will no longer need to wear a mask while in public places. The new rules also mean that people traveling to Jamaica will no longer need to present a negative COVID-19 test taken at least 3 days prior to visiting the island. But public health expert Dr. Winston Davidson is questioning the government's decision to end the COVID-19 testing requirement for visitors coming to Jamaica.
Thousands of persons will come to Jamaica for vacation. Thousands of persons will, returning residents will come back to Jamaica for not only for vacation but for family visits, etc. And this is where Jamaica finds that we get the infection spreading among the population. The testing is important, screening, to prevent persons who are infected from coming to Jamaica. Now, if you get rid of the testing, how do you prevent those persons who have a positive test coming in? Because you don't know whether they're positive or they're negative.
Dr. Davidson says after the new rule takes effect, the Jamaican population will be further exposed to COVID-19 and its new strains, which are affecting other countries.
The WHO warns us that we must be vigilant with the measures that we take, right? Because there are a number of strains. For example, in Southeast Asia, in China, we have some strains that are really, really damaging. And so therefore, you are taking down the barriers that you need to put in place to ensure that you are not exposed and that it doesn't really infect the country badly again.
On March 18, Prime Minister Andrew Holness discontinued most of the COVID-19 restrictions under the Disaster Risk Management Act. Mr. Holness had said people should still practice mask wearing as the COVID-19 pandemic is not over. Sandy Williams, TVJ.
President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Patrick Brooks, is pushing back at suggestions that a recent Privy Council decision to overturn the murder conviction of a former policeman is evidence that Jamaica should remain with a London-based court. In quashing the conviction, the UK law lord said a substantial miscarriage of justice had occurred in the case of former police constable Lessine Edwards. His attorney Valrenita Robertson lamented that it was a pity he could not get justice in his own country and said Jamaica should not leave the Privy Council. But Justice Brooks says there is no human institution that is infallible, and there are tiers within all justice systems.
The final court is designed to correct mistakes made at the lower levels. The Englishman or Englishwoman, the Welshman or Welshwoman who is successful in the United Kingdom Supreme Court is able to say that they got justice in their own country, not because their Court of Appeal doesn't make errors, but because their Supreme Court is in their territory.
And Justice Brooks has chided successive governments for not adopting the Caribbean Court of Justice as Jamaica's final court.
Although it is unfortunate and a pity that the Court of Appeal got it wrong in this case, it is also a pity that successive governments of this country have failed to express confidence in ourselves and have failed to adopt the Caribbean Court of Justice in place of the Privy Council as our final court, so that the Jamaican man But the Jamaican woman can, like their Barbadian counterpart or their counterparts in any of the other countries of the Caribbean who have adopted the Caribbean Court of Justice as their final court, can say, I can get justice in my own territory.
He was speaking yesterday during a ceremony at King's House to swear in judges for the Easter term of the Home Circuit Court. President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Justice Andre Saunders, recently expressed disappointment more countries have not joined the court's appellate jurisdiction, saying there are consequences for not doing so. A raging debate about the penalties under the Jamaica Teaching Council bill for breaches of the law. At a parliamentary committee meeting yesterday, the Teachers College of Jamaica raised concerns. O'Shane Masters explains.
Excessive. That's how the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica have described the penalty of criminal conviction or a fine should teachers breach requirements for registration. During its submission before the parliamentary committee examining the bill on Wednesday, the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica called for the removal of the penalty of criminal conviction or a fine. Under the Jamaica Teaching Council bill, persons could be fined up to $500,000 or imprisoned for 3 months for breaches. But the suggestion was not taken lightly by committee member Natalie Campbell Rodriguez.
I'm a little bit concerned, and you need to guide me here. I'm hearing that the oversight is too much. I'm hearing that the teachers cannot afford the penalties. But in my mind, there's a solution to not being able to afford the penalties. Don't break the rules. So I'm wondering what's the thought process, because if you don't want oversight and you don't want penalties, how are we going to make this the noble profession?
Legal counsel for the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica, Julian Mowat, said that the colleges had no issue with oversight, but rather the penalties. Ms. Mowat noted that upon doing research on teacher registration legislation within other jurisdictions, fines are not as high as Jamaica, nor is there a criminal penalty.
But if it's not but if it's not punitive, what's the purpose?
It should be commensurate with the offense. So, for instance...
So someone pretending to be a teacher when they're not, and sitting in front of my 5-year-old child, if I had a 5-year-old child, you don't think the fine there should be that harsh? It should be smaller so that they can afford to pay it and do it again because they can afford to pay it?
Obviously, one of the reasons that teachers have with the bill, why there are pushbacks from teachers, because it is felt out there that it is a way to criminalize teachers. That's a discussion across the region. We are seeking a way how to punish teachers. When we talk about professionalizing the profession, it's about advancing, mentoring, pushing ahead. It's not about all being penal. We can get people to comply without being penal. It's not a court.
Dean of the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica, Dr. Garth Anderson, says there are other measures that can be used to hold teachers accountable.
I think that the worst kind of punishment you can give a teacher is to withhold your salary. You're not paid. You can be struck from the register. You can be suspended. So many things. Why would we want to give the teacher a criminal record? And that will follow the teacher forever.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Swift action by the Manchester police led to the arrest of 4 people, including a woman, in the Mandeville Town Centre Wednesday morning. It's understood that a black Toyota Axio was spotted trailing a car after the occupant completed a transaction and left a bank in the town centre. DSP Anthony Lewis is the head of operations for the parish.
All 4 persons were searched on a firearm. A Millennium 9mm pistol was found in the bosom of the female.
All right, have you been able to establish that they perhaps were trying to rob you first?
Yes, we can reasonably suspect that that may be the motive. However, in recent times we have been getting quite a number of robberies emanating from persons going to banks to make withdrawals and are followed back and held up along the way home or to their place of business.
DSP Lewis is cautioning persons conducting similar transactions to be aware of their surroundings. This latest seizure brings to 8 the number of firearms seized by the police since the start of the year, 4 in the last week.
Bend backward to ensure that our community is safe. And as a result of that, we'll do whatever it takes to assist our business community. These are recent things that are happening. But as you see, this was nip in the bud.
And it's time now for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News. Thanks for staying with us. Plans are in the pipeline to fix several roads in northwestern St. Anne. That's according to Member of Parliament for the constituency, Crystal Lee. Addressing residents, taxi and bus operators recently, Ms. Lee said while the government may not be able to fix all the roads, including the Discovery Bay to Orange Valley route, she will be lobbying.
And in the interim, we'll be doing our regular remedial patching, which we know doesn't last, but at least it assists in helping the roads to be drivable in the interim. We have several major projects going on now. They were quite surprised that we have so much going on, which includes the major breakaway at Sleepy Hollow on the Priory to Bamboo stretch, which anybody could have fallen over that precipice. That is now underway and being worked on. Gabion baskets are being packed to stop the river from running and causing the road to slip.
Ms. Lee also said the Bamboo to Brownstone Road will also be fixed soon. She said that project is now in the hands of the contractor and that should start in another week or so.
Right, in short order, the contractor now has that project in hand, and so we'll begin that in another week or two. So they are pleased with the work that we have been doing so far, and of course they are giving us the time to complete the Runaway Bay to Brownstone Road, and they're anticipating that we will continue to work on their behalf.
Plans are in place to expand a section of the highway from Ocho St. Anne to Montego Bay St. James from 2 to 4 lanes. The House of Representatives on Tuesday approved a resolution for Jamaica to engage the services of the International Finance Corporation, IFC, an arm of the World Bank, to develop the major infrastructure project. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the IFC would structure the tender process and pave the way for grant funding. The National Road Operating and Constructing Company, NROC, will play an integral role in the process. Dr. Clark outlined the challenges facing motorists on the 60-kilometer roadway from Ocho Rios to Montego Bay.
These roads are expected to accommodate 13,000 vehicles per day, but the current traffic on those road segments is approximately 23,000 vehicles per day. And those who have to traverse on that quote-unquote highway on a Friday evening or at other parts of the week, there's a bottleneck, literally from when you get off from the North Coast Highway all the way across.
And it's time now for the Business Minute. Here's O'Shane Masters.
In the world of business, wind energy producer Wigton Wind Farm Limited is partnering with International Electrical Consultants, IEC, on the supply of a photovoltaic or solar system to the airport under a joint venture agreement. IEC is owned by a member of Wigton's board. It's the second non-core deal for wind farm operator Wigton, which is focused on diversifying its revenue streams to offset falling income from its wind turbines, some of which are nearly obsolete, and to shake off the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. And in business internationally, the International Monetary Fund's Executive Board on Wednesday approved the creation of a new facility to help low-income and most middle-income countries deal with longer-term challenges such as climate change and pandemics. According to the IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, approval of the new Resilience and Sustainability Trust should take effect from May 1 with a goal of raising at least $45 billion. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm O'Shane Masters.
Time now for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, health authorities have warned Trinidad and Tobago against relaxing very hard-won gains in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic as the country prepares to observe the long Easter weekend. Health Minister Terence Dayasing said that it is necessary for citizens to continue exercising the heightened vigilance and personal risk assessment against the virus that has killed 3,787 and infected 141,000 others over the past 2 years. Trinidad and Tobago recently relaxed a number of COVID-19 measures that had been put in place since March 2020. On the international scene, in the United States, protesters in Grand Rapids, Michigan are demanding justice and police reform. That's after an officer's fatal shooting of a black man, 26-year-old Patrick Leoya, this month. On April 4th, Leoya was pulled over for improper registration of the car he was driving. The police did not elaborate on why they were looking in the first place. Shortly after stopping, Leoya ran but was caught by the officer. The two began to wrestle when the officer's body camera turns off, but the passenger in Leoya's car recorded the incident on a cell phone and captured what happened next. Investigation. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we head now to a quick break. When we return, we'll have your midday sports report. Simon Preston is standing by.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Jamaica's men's hockey team were held to a 1-1 draw by Puerto Rico in their opening game of the Central American and Caribbean Games qualifiers in Bermuda today. Philip Dawson gave Jamaica the lead in the 14th minute before Kenneth Rodriguez equalized for Puerto Rico in minute 29. The Jamaicans will next be in action against Bermuda at 6 o'clock today. Meanwhile, Jamaica's women's hockey team will take the field this afternoon as they face Bermuda at 4 o'clock. The top two teams in the men's and women's tournaments will qualify for the 2023 CAC Games in San Salvador. To football we go now as reggae boy Mikel Antonio and West Ham United will be looking to advance to the semi-finals of the UEFA Europa League as they face Lyon in the second leg of the quarter-finals this afternoon. The match ended 1-1 in the first leg. Kickoff is at 2 o'clock Jamaica time. Another reggae boy in Kemar Roof and Rangers FC trails Braga 1-0 from the first leg and will host the Portuguese side also at 2 o'clock. In other ties, it's 1-1 between Atalanta and RB Leipzig and 1-1 between Barcelona and Eintracht Frankfurt. Former national youth goalkeeper Jamali White has signed for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the United Soccer League until the end of the season. White earned this deal after impressing at the University of Connecticut. The 23-year-old also has the option to extend his deal a further year until the end of 2023. The former Jamaica College goalkeeper joins countryman Dane Kelly and Kennardo Forbes at the Pennsylvania-based club. And to track and field we go now as one of the most decorated women's track and field Olympians of all time, Allyson Felix, will retire at the end of the season. The 36-year-old American has won 11 Olympic medals, including 7 gold, as well as 13 World Championship titles. Her 18 World Championship medals is the most for any woman in the history of the World Championships. She competed at her 5th and final Olympics. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Anthony, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.